Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh. Welcome to a new video. It's Wednesday, and on Wednesdays, I share my thoughts on some of the garbage I find on David's channel. Sometimes I do refutations, sometimes I share some educational material, and sometimes I just have fun. Now, this one, it's somewhere in between. I'm just going to share some thoughts on how David plays the jihad card and exaggerates all that, and how it's a part of his game. In the video that I'm going to be playing in a bit, David's going to argue that jihad is the best deed that one can do as a Muslim. Now, I'd like to point out that the concept of holy wars isn't something exclusive to Islam. Holy wars clearly exist in the Bible. It's something that you find in chapters that have to do with Moses, Joshua, and others. So why is David focusing on the concept of holy wars so much? I'll tell you why, but first, do you think that David himself is concerned about jihad? I don't think he is. Let's check out these clips.
Also, the only way many jihadis know how to deal with problems is with violence or threats of violence. The only way they're going to get past threats and intimidation is if they come to realize that it doesn't work. So the more people who laugh at their threats, the sooner we can have some sort of meaningful discussion. Beyond this, I think that taunting jihadis is better for the jihadis themselves. So, for you jihadis who keep telling me that you're going to kill me, may I suggest you do it within the next few days, because I'm about to make what may be my favorite video ever. Clock's ticking, cupcakes. Now, let me give you an example. This is a video someone sent me recently. The video is titled, "A Christmas Gift." It's a Christmas gift for me. So a guy goes to a hardware store and checks out various tools. He checks out an axe, a pickaxe, a giant rubber mallet, a brush hook, a mini sledge, and finally he finds a ball-peen hammer. He buys the ball-peen hammer, wraps it up, and sends it to me. Is Ibrahim here? Ibrahim? No Ibrahim. Okay, Ibrahim is not here. Let's read a little message here from about 2 weeks ago. It says 1 day ago, but this was a while back. Ibrahim says, "You are an agent of Shaitan. You don't know anything about the beautiful religion of Islam. It's the only truth, but except when we come and shoot you up. Don't be stupid. You know Islam is the only truth. Jesus, peace be upon him, is only a messenger. Why do you say you think you know so much? Allah Akbar, he is the greater than Jesus. Why? Because he is God. You make fun, cuff Islam till we come and chop your head off and blow up your house, inshallah." I don't know how I can make it any easier, ladies and gentlemen. So I replied, "Okay, I've got some free time tomorrow. Where do you want to meet? How about noon?" I asked, "Are we on for noon? Please confirm." KJ replied, "Yes, we are for noon." That's odd. How am I still alive?
Now, notice that David said that he gets threats constantly, and yet he's not concerned. Now, while it's very clear that David's not concerned, he wants his audience to be concerned. And the reason is the more concerned his audience is, the more important he becomes. He becomes the warner that warns people about the looming Islamic threat, the jihad at their doorsteps. And of course, David has made a career out of doing just that. Anyways, enough of that. Let's just get to the video that I actually want to go through.
In Sahih al-Bukhari, 2785, we read, narrated Abu Huraira, "A man came to Allah's messenger and said, 'Guide me to such a deed as equals jihad in reward.' He replied, 'I do not find such a deed.' If Muhammad couldn't think of a deed equal to jihad, what's the greatest deed in the world according to Islam? Jihad."
Alright, so there are a few problems here. First, let's actually go back to the hadith. Now, if you look at the hadith doesn't say that jihad is the greatest deed in Islam. There's nothing in there that says that. Now, if you actually look at the context, it says nothing equals jihad because jihad is an act that lasts for a long duration and that one is rewarded for the deed for jihad throughout that duration. Now, if we turn the page, the same chapter, one page before this one, we find a narration by Ibn Mas'ud where he asks the Prophet, peace be upon him, what is the best deed? The Prophet, peace be upon him, responds, to offer the salat, prayers, at their early stated fixed times. I asked, what is next in goodness? He replied, to be good and dutiful to your parents. I further asked, what is next? He replied, to participate in jihad in Allah's cause. Now, some of you may be thinking, well, hey, who cares? David probably didn't see what's on the previous page. No. I'm not accepting that. This is Dr. David Wood. He's an alim. He doesn't mess up like this. So what do we make of this? We could say that maybe David saw these two hadiths were kind of conflicting with each other. He didn't like the one that I shared. He wanted the one that he shared. So due to this, David felt that he didn't want to reconcile. It's not necessary to reconcile between the two reports the same way that I did. However, David, I'd like to remind you of what a wise psychopath once said.
If your method is to go through a text, pick a couple of verses that you can squeeze into your theory, and then throw out all the verses that conclusively prove your theory wrong, you can use this method to defend any theory about anyone. And if your method can be used to defend any theory, no matter how ridiculous, probably time for a new method.
Now, here's the thing. David could have done this. This is what he could have done. He could have quoted the hadith that I quoted, the one that's explicit, and he could have said, jihad is one of the best things in Islam. However, it loses its spark if he did that. The reason why he didn't use that hadith is because it opens up a door. And that door leads you to an aspect of Islam that David would rather not focus on. The Prophet, peace be upon him, is asked about the best deed. He says, prayer, worshipping God alone through praise, prostration, supplication with your heart, with your tongue, with your actions, 5 times a day. Oh my God, the best deed in Islam has nothing to do with bloodshed. What if people found out, David? What are we going to do? The number 2 best deed in Islam, to be kind, dutiful, compassionate, loving towards your parents. Something that David knows a thing or two about.
I walked into my dad's bedroom at about 2 o'clock in the morning, Thanksgiving Day. I stood over him with the hammer and I tried to think of one wrong thing he'd ever done to me. Nothing came to mind. So I drew back my arm and came down on him with all 230 pounds. I didn't know how fast blood could come out of someone's head.
One more time for the kids in the back of the class. David has 2 hadiths in front of him. One hadith is a vague report that he interprets to make jihad seem to be the greatest deed in Islam. The second hadith is the hadith that David ignores, a hadith that prioritizes worshipping God and being good to your parents. Now, why does he do this? It's because if he focused on that hadith, then Islam may actually appear to be a religion and not some sort of bloodthirsty terrorist movement. Now that's the game that David likes to play with you, my non-Muslim audience. And the reason that he gets away with it is because, let's face it, you often don't go back to the context, you don't check out the sources. Now here's my suggestion. Ask a Muslim about Islam and don't ask a hate preacher who makes a living out of your fears and concerns. Because trust me, he himself is not concerned. And to the rest of you guys, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I don't know how I can make it any easier, ladies and gentlemen. So, Ibrahim not here? Is he here? No? Is he here? Is he under the table? Oh well, better luck next time, Ibrahim.